It all starts with a powerful kick that lands flush and causes a violent impact during training. Immediately after, a heavy punch is thrown and barely blocked by the opponent, who feels the blow. We then see that Su-hong is dominating the fight while launching rapid attacks against his classmate. Retreating in pain, the boy pulls back, but the protagonist remains focused on his combat stance. Impressed, the classmate praises Su-hong's Vajra fist and asks if he has already reached the micro level. In this world, martial arts are divided into 5 stages of mastery, ranging from basic to perfect. Giving a thumbs up, the student claims that no one in the class compares to the protagonist's skill. But Su-hong ignores the compliments and asks if his friend has rested yet, because he wants to continue training now. Calling him a cultivation maniac, the boy refuses to continue and runs off to get something to eat. While trying to say goodbye to Professor Lee, the young man is abruptly interrupted before he can leave the gym. Approaching with a serious look, the instructor says he finally found the student there. Demanding the registration fee of 30,000, he warns that the final deadline ends next Monday. Breaking into a cold sweat, Su-hong begs for a few more days since his family is going through hard times. However, rules are rules, and the professor walks away, leaving the young man alone in the middle of the empty court. Frustrated with the high amount, he goes back to training, throwing punches in the air to try and relieve the tension. His life was marked by tragedy when he lost his parents at 3 years old in an attack by ferocious beasts. Since then, he has lived with his aunt and uncle, who discovered his talent and started paying for all his training. After all, in this dangerous era, becoming a martial artist is a profession that guarantees a lot of money. Giving them a good life was the goal, but Su-hong feels that now he is only making things more difficult. With this weight on his conscience, we see the simple building where he lives as night falls over the city. Arriving home, Su-hong hears his aunt and uncle talking about the rent that is almost due. According to his uncle, the boy's talent is great, and they cannot get in the way of his future at all. Then the aunt suggests stopping her medication to save money, but he refuses and says he will find another job. Hearing all this, the protagonist wears a heavy expression on his face, feeling the weight of the situation. Guilt consumes him, and the young man can no longer stand listening to the difficult conversation in the living room. Disguising his feelings, he walks in smiling and greets his aunt and uncle, who worry about his fatigue. His uncle tells him to rest while the young man tries to help with the household chores. Lying in his bed, he decides he will solve his problems alone, as his relatives have already sacrificed too much. With a determined look, he thinks that for a martial artist, there is only one place to make quick money. The next day, we see an imposing building where the young man seems to have gone to solve his problems. Inside, there is an underground fighting arena where victory is the only thing that matters in the competition. Announcing the ring defender for that night, the hostess introduces a large man wearing a minotaur mask. Winning 4 times in a row is required to take home 60,000, otherwise, he will leave empty-handed. In the audience, some spectators find the fighter strange and comment that he must be a rookie looking for trouble. Asking for a little passion, the woman tells the masked youth to hype up the crowd before the fight. After she explains he needs to provoke the crowd, the fighter finally understands what he must do. With that, the Minotaur lets out a roar, declaring himself invincible and challenging anyone to a fight. Reacting with surprise to his arrogance, the public comments that he doesn't know what he got himself into. Going wild, the crowd screams to finish him off as the hostess announces the start of the match. Under the mask, Su-hong feels the heavy pressure but knows it is the only way to pay the school fee. Wearing a rat mask, the first opponent advances quickly, cursing the boy and calling him an arrogant brat. Analyzing the enemy, Su-hong notes that the momentum is strong, but the unstable footing guarantees an easy victory. Asking why he is distracted, the rat man launches a fast attack toward his face. But the protagonist was already ready and concentrates energy in his hand to strike back at the imminent blow. Using the floating light palm, he lands a precise hit on the opponent's chin, who feels the impact. Such is the force that the guy is thrown far away and flies right out of the arena's boundaries. With the enemy knocked out on the ground, the hostess announces the masked rookie's first victory. Dotting before, the crowd now goes crazy, screaming excitedly at his incredible performance. Soon another challenger appears, a huge fighter saying the boy's luck has just run out. Intimidated, the Minotaur makes a hand gesture inviting the big guy to bring it on. Observing the opponent's physique, he decides that this will be a good test for the strength of his Vajra fist. Screaming that he will end it all, the fighter advances while Su-hong calmly prepares for impact. Violently, the two collide in the center of the ring with a straight punch that makes the air vibrate. Feeling the pressure of the blow, the masked figure is shocked by the crushing power of the young man's fist. Even while locking forces, the young man realizes that the adversary's brute strength is inferior to his own. Noticing the enemy used too much upper body strength, he sees the waist is full of openings. Seizing the opening, Su-hong dodges the main attack and prepares his devastating counterattack. A powerful kick lands flush on the side of the fighter's body, who has no time to defend himself. Due to the strong impact, the big guy is launched backward, admitting the boy's absurd strength. With the second opponent defeated, the girl announces the Minotaur's second consecutive victory. From above, a man watches everything, noting that the boy's strength surpasses the average of common apprentices. After the Minotaur wins his third fight, the suited man sees him as the ideal target for his schemes. At that moment, a man in a fox mask appears, offering his services to take care of the rookie. Accepting the offer, his boss warns him not to reveal that he has already become a real martial artist. In the ring, the protagonist realizes that his micro-level makes fights against apprentices very easy. Clenching his fists, he focuses because he only needs one more victory to secure the prize money. Suddenly, the audience announces the arrival of the white fox, leaving the young man in a total state of alert. Everyone comments that it is unfair for a quasi-martial artist to face a simple apprentice in that arena. Knowing the challenge will be difficult, the young man realizes losing now is not an option for his plans. Staring with a sharp look, the opponent hides his true intentions behind the mask. Arrogantly, the fox tells the boy not to fear because he knows very well how to control his blows. Pointing to the two fighters, the hostess announces the start of the final battle of that night. Without wasting time, the two advance at high speed, ready to collide in the center of the stage. Knowing about the disadvantage, Su-hong decides to use all his strength right in the first attack to surprise him. But reacting with frightening ease, the enemy intercepts the offensive move with no effort at all. Instantly, the impact makes the protagonist realize that this power is not that of a quasi-martial artist. He notices that the opponent is a true martial artist who is hiding his vital aura from everyone. Preparing his thunder fist, the villain delivers a devastating blow against the young man's chest. Hit squarely, Su-hong coughs up blood, feeling the brutal difference in levels between them. Watching in shock, the audience recognizes the deadly technique and decrees the end of the Minotaur right there. Attacking ceaselessly, the fox mocks him, asking if the boy only knows how to defend or if he will finally fight back. Su-hong realizes that if he keeps just blocking that rain of blows, he will definitely end up losing. While the adversary prepares another charge, the protagonist desperately looks for a chance to counterattack. However, the opponent's speed is superior, and a straight punch breaks through the defense, hitting the boy flush. Bones crack from the brutal impact, while the masked youth feels sharp pain running through his body. With the force of the attack, Su-hong is thrown against the arena floor, falling defeated before the enemy. As his vision begins to darken, he feels his consciousness failing while trying to stay awake there. Stepping humiliatingly on him, the villain warns that the young man won't see a single cent of that night's prize. But he proposes that he join the rigged fight scheme in exchange for money, something the young man rejects. Warning him to think very carefully, the fox says the price for refusing the offer will be very high. Indignant, the protagonist questions how they have the nerve to call themselves martial artists while acting like this. Realizing there will be no deal, the man in the suit looks with contempt, deciding to end the matter now. Moving to cripple the boy, he says that being a fighter will now be just a distant dream. In that instant, time seems to freeze, and the determination to become strong burns within Su-hong's soul. In a movement of pure instinct, he rolls to the side at the last second, dodging the kick that would destroy him. Surprised, the opponent widens his eyes because he didn't expect a wounded prey to still be able to move. Defying all expectations, the Minotaur stands up wrapped in a red aura, refusing to fall there. Seeing the young man withstand his strongest blow, the fox is shocked that he can still stand. Thinking of his family, the boy knows he needs to help, but wonders if he should betray his faith in martial arts. Deciding he will never accept a future stained by dishonor, his will to win returns with full force. Appearing in his vision, a blue screen asks what he would sacrifice for family and faith. Without hesitating for a second, the boy responds by screaming that he would give everything. Accepting the high price, the system releases an aura of intense flames that envelopes his body. At that moment, his feet begin to fragment as if they were turning into data. In the blink of an eye, the scenery changes, and Su-hong appears alone in a digital location. Looking around, he sees a strange temple and wonders where he has ended up now. Suddenly, a giant and imposing golden figure materializes in front of him. Offering him a chance, the entity begins to dissolve into particles. Swirling around the young man, that shining energy creates a vortex of pure light. From the middle of the intense glow, a golden tablet floats down into his hands. The panel reveals all of the protagonist's current attributes and combat status. Confused by the technology, he touches the screen to test if it is touch-sensitive. Pressing the mission icon, his finger causes a new window to open quickly. Mastering martial techniques is required to defeat the fox outside of there, according to the challenge. Accepting the beginner's guide, he soon notices a silhouette appearing behind his back. Without prior warning, a perfect copy of himself advances, delivering a lethal attack. Reacting by instinct, Su-hong manages to dodge a powerful kick by a hair. Shocked, the young man sees that the clone utilizes his Vajra fist with total perfection. Upon blocking the next blow, he realizes that the copy's technique is pure and flawless. Happy with the chance to evolve, the boy advances to fight and learn from his reflection. Charging with everything, the clone shows that this is actually a practical combat lesson. Painful as the lesson is, he ends up taking a direct hit that throws him violently backward. Coughing up blood, Suhong recovers quickly, noting that his copy won't give any respite in the fight. Showing his fist proficiency went up very fast, a screen appears after just a few seconds. Realizing that he can evolve at an absurd speed there, the boy gets excited to continue training. Without wasting time, the two advance again, leaving trails of digital light across the virtual scenery. During the insane exchange of punches, the skill progress bars nonstop with every impact. Using the void steps to move, he feels his body becoming lighter and lighter. Frantically, the combat continues with the young man mastering all the techniques, while the numbers only increase. Finally, he reaches the micro level in the floating light palm, delivering a perfect attack on the target. Evolving his movement, the void steps also reach their peak, guaranteeing total evasion. To finish, Suhong lands a devastating punch, completely mastering the powerful Vajra fist. Exhausted and panting, he sees the clone dissolve into particles of light after the intense training ends. Congratulating the player on the completed mission, the system asks if he wishes to return to reality. Confirming the return, the scenery changes in an instant, and we see the Minotaur back in the ring, tense. Staring at his opponent, the fox understands nothing because the boy's aura has changed drastically now. Irritated by the silence, the villain decides to attack, shouting that he will end that mystery right away. Confidently using his thunder fist, he attacks, but to Suhong's trained eyes, it looks like slow motion. Dodging with humiliating ease, the protagonist comments on how slow that attack really is. In a brutal counterattack, the young man's fist shatters the enemy's mask, shocking everyone in the arena. Devastating, the punch breaks through the defense, crushing the villain's mask with absurd violence. Falling into absolute silence, the audience is dumbfounded by the impressive turnaround that just happened. Victorious, the Minotaur remains standing over the defeated opponent, exuding crushing pressure. Ignoring the general shock, he turns to the hostess and demands the prize for his fourth victory. From above, the boss watches in disbelief, not understanding how a simple apprentice dominated the Vajra fist. Suspicious, he orders his security guards to follow the boy to discover his true identity. Confirming the order, the men in suits leave immediately to hunt down the mysterious fighter. Already outside, Suhong walks down a dark alley wearing his normal clothes, quite calm. However, his sharpened senses alert him, and the young man realizes he is being followed by someone with bad intentions. Turning the corner quickly, the pursuers try to corner the target in that narrow spot. But to their surprise, the alley is empty, and the henchmen are confused, looking around. Looking up, we see that the protagonist used his strength to hide in the shadows above. With agility, he escapes over the rooftops under the moonlight, leaving the enemies looking like fools. An hour later, we arrive at the humble building where the young man lives to solve the financial situation. Placing a stack of cash on the table, Suhong leaves his aunt and uncle startled by that large amount. Lying, he says that the dojo master saw his talent and decided to sponsor his martial studies. Holding their hands, the young man asks for trust and guarantees that the money is the fruit of his honest effort. Relieved and with tears in their eyes, the uncle and aunt believe their nephew, happy for his promising future. Later, he jumps lightly, landing on the building's terrace to have a moment alone. Looking at the system, he smiles satisfied because he secured the rent and his aunt's medicine for now. Warning that defeating a strong opponent yielded 67 martial value points, a blue screen appears. Curious, he decides to test the system and touches the digital panel to use the newly acquired points now. Rising to 90 in an instant, the vitality status proves that the system works for real. Suddenly his eyes widen, feeling a wave of energy run through every muscle in his body. An intense aura envelopes the boy while his body burns, transforming the energy into pure strength. Confirming the result, the system states that with vitality at 90, he has reached the level of a quasi-martial artist. Excited by the result, Suhong decides to spend all the rest of the points to increase it even further. Noticing that besides his physical strength having grown, the injuries from the previous fight have totally disappeared. Feeling his body light, he runs across the city rooftops looking for a place to test his power. With a confident smile, he remembers that the school's training field has the ideal equipment. Arriving at the #1 school in Star City, he finds the courtyard empty and silent that night. In the center, there is a huge machine made to measure the student's combat strength with precision. Positioning himself, the young man concentrates energy and decides to use only 70% of his total strength. Glowing red in the dark, his eye watches as he fires his fist with frightening speed at the target. Violent is the impact, and a shockwave explodes, illuminating the place with the force of the blow delivered. But looking at the device, Suhong gets worried about the strange noise the machine is making. As the equipment starts to smoke, he realizes he ended up breaking the test with a single punch. Since the noise was too loud, he decides to run away from there before anyone shows up to see. Appearing furious, an old man in pajamas screams, asking who was the vandal that destroyed everything. Swearing revenge, the elderly man blames two messy students, promising to discipline them when classes return.